If you have ever wondered how to turn your knowledge into a scalable, revenue generating machine, this episode is your blueprint. Dr. Destini Copp is a digital product strategist who helps entrepreneurs create automated income streams. And today she is breaking down exactly what food bloggers need to know. From choosing the right product to sell, to setting up the tech, to what to fix when your sales funnel flops, Destiny shares the art, science, and human connection behind digital product success. If you are ready to earn while you sleep, press play. Oh, that's so cool to be able to say that. My youngest son and I just tore through all the Friends episodes within the past year. And yeah, so that episode is fresh on my brain. I bet that was a highlight moment.
Yeah, it
So
was so
cool.
much fun seeing it.
I love it. Okay, well, from that to your business, I would love if you just gave us a little bit of a backdrop. What is your business? Who are you? What do you do, etc.?
Yeah, so in my personal brand, I actually have several online businesses that I own. I have Hobby School, which is my B2C brand where we do online learning, virtual summits, and all types of hobby type niches. Love that. It's a fun brand. But in my personal brand, I help digital product creators basically get that consistent recurring revenue from their digital product portfolio. And I've been doing this for many years. I'm also a graduate college university marketing professor. So I've kind of pulled in like all of my experience, all of my marketing experience, and that's what I do in my personal brand.
Oh wow, professor. Oh my goodness. That's really cool. Well versed and well rounded, it sounds like. So let's dig into one of your interests, digital products. Um, I was kind of telling you before we recorded where food bloggers are at. I feel like kind of all across the board, like some food bloggers know they want to create a digital product, some have created it and it just hasn't been successful, and some have figured it out. I think that more on the first end of the spectrum where it's like kind of wondering what to make and how to make it, how to get it to sell. So I guess to start, what digital products do we make? How do we figure out where to start?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different types of digital products that you can make out there. I mean, it could be as simple as like an ebook, and you want to sell that, like a cookbook or whatever. I mean, that is a very, very basic, but that is something that is valuable and you can create, and people will pay you money for it. So you can definitely start
Yeah.
there. I mean, one of my favorite digital products to make, and it goes back to my heart and my teaching and what I've been doing for almost 30 years of my life, is teaching others. So the online courses and the memberships, a little bit more advanced digital products, but you can have like a mini course. And I generally recommend that people start with something small. So more low cost type digital products is generally where I recommend, or some type of mini course. And there's a lot you can build out in your digital product portfolio when you start looking at holistically, okay, here's how I can help people, and here's what they would be interested in buying. And we can definitely dig into all of that.
Yeah, I have a question about, so I think everyone's familiar with ebooks. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. Love your idea for teaching. Now, when you say mini course, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so a mini course could be, anything really. It could be a workshop where you are teaching somebody how to do something. And I'm like thinking about what I would love to learn from a food blogger, and I would love to
Yeah.
learn how to cook, right? How do you make all of those, beautiful cakes, or, baking that bread or whatever. So it really would be just a really short workshop, or you might have multiple workshops in there, or multiple videos in there. You can give them the step-by-step process, the ingredients, but also show them. And what I love about these mini courses is nobody can copy them, right? They can't copy
Mm.
you because you're bringing you to that. So we're in an age of AI, right? There's a lot of information out there that people can just either go Google or go to ChatGPT and say, how do I do XYZ? But with a mini course or a workshop where you are actually doing and demonstrating, that can't be copied. And I'll give you some more examples here. In hobby school this week, we're doing our Art of Handmade Summit. So we have like 36 experts, from across the world. They're teaching in this particular event. And what they have done is they have basically recorded a workshop demonstrating whatever they're talking about. I mean, some might be talking about, how to do like homemade skincare type stuff, or some might be demonstrating how to do like a chicken on a pillow, like a quilt type thing. And I might be butchering some of this, but like sewing and quilting and all of that. Those are the experts. People want to learn from experts. And that is what is so valuable out there. And nothing on Google, nothing on YouTube, nothing is going to replace you. And
Yeah.
that's why I love those, what I call like mini courses, workshops. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can package that.
Yeah. Yeah, the non-copying aspect of that is so valuable. I think you're right. People want human contact and interaction and information these days with AI being so prevalent. So I absolutely love that suggestion. And now, are you talking like you could do that like on a Zoom call, or you could do it just something that you pre-recorded and put on Teachable or on YouTube or something like that?
I mean, that's really what they're doing. So think of it like making a YouTube video. So it could be a Zoom, where they're just kind of recording. It could be something where they've set up a tripod, maybe at their sewing machine or in their kitchen, where they're kind of filming what they're doing. But it is very, very simple. I don't want people to think, oh, that I'm not, I'm not sophisticated enough for that, or I'm not techie enough for that. You really just, your phone is going to be good enough in most cases.
Yeah. Yeah. And as far as deciding what to create with that, so let's say somebody does decide on a mini course, like looking within their niche and their passions, right? And maybe aligning some of those.
Yeah. So what I generally recommend is we're all in we're in this ecosystem where people are wanting to learn from us. Now, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult, right? Trying to figure out what exactly could I teach. But generally what I recommend for all of us in this creative niche is to teach what you're passionate about. Because if you're teaching something that you're passionate about, you're going to want to continue to build on that. And I'll just take myself as an example. I'm not a gardener. I am not passionate about that at all. And if I was like, I'm going to go teach people how to do a raised bed garden, that just wouldn't, that's not a long-term strategy for me. But if I wanted to, I do love organizing. That is something I definitely do. And I said, okay, if I wanted to kind of branch out into that niche, I think I'm really, really good at it. I feel confident that I could, continue to, provide valuable content in that particular area. So think about where your expertise is, where your passion is, and most of the time there's going to be people out there that are interested in that. So you also need to get the market fit too, but I mean, in the food blogger world, I mean, people are going to be interested in what you have to offer. I can guarantee you.
Right. Do you recommend starting with the smallest viable product? So maybe like starting with an ebook and going to a mini course, or can we launch right into the mini course?
It really just depends. So generally what I recommend for folks is kind of think about the customer journey. So when people are coming into your world, how do you want them to be exposed to you? So you're going to have some type of lead magnet. Now, what that lead magnet is might vary. For a lot of us, it's going to be, more of a, PDF type lead magnet. Maybe we have some extra tools in there to, and I'm thinking about, what could be the options here? Maybe it's a meal planning type spreadsheet or something, something valuable to kind of attract your audience. And then think about what would be the next step for them. What could you offer them? I'm still a huge fan of the mini courses, or maybe it's just like one workshop, something short and sweet. It doesn't have to be long. It could be 15 to 20 minutes with some additional resources. I mean, people think course and they think, okay, I got to build this 7-course module with 5
Yeah.
lessons underneath it. That's not what we're talking about. And quite frankly, people don't want that. They want the
Yeah.
quick wins. They want you to demonstrate one thing and then help them do that one thing. That's what they're looking for. So think about it that way. Your course or that next step or whatever you're going to do that's going to be that first kind of mini offer, think about getting them to that next step.
Okay. And then do you think long term to start if possible? So like what would my ultimate offering be and then kind of work backwards, or do you start simple and go work your way up?
So ideally, you want to think about, okay, what is the signature offer that you're going to be promoting, right? But a lot of us just aren't there yet. And sometimes we need to take that first step to really figure out what might be that signature offer. Maybe that signature offer, 6 months down the road, a year down the road, might be some sort of membership or community or something that you're going to build. Okay, that's perfectly fine, right? But if we are still trying to figure that out and we're still trying to build our email list, we're still trying to build our audience, it might take us a while to figure out, okay, that is the ultimate journey, but it
Right.
is okay to take small steps to get there.
Yeah. Okay, that helps. So we don't have to figure it out to get started. Is the goal, is the gist.
Yes,
You can get
absolutely.
started without knowing your ultimate destiny, using your name.
Yeah, no pun intended,
Oh
right?
my gosh, that's so funny that I said that. As I was in the middle, I was like, "Am I really saying this?" But yeah, I love that. It gives us permission to not have to think through the whole thing because I think that's where people get hung up and they don't get started.
Yeah, I mean, I would prefer that folks, just start, right? They start with that lead magnet. That's generally where I recommend
Yeah.
people start. Start with that lead magnet. Once you feel like, okay, this lead magnet's working, it's attracting the right people into my audience, then think about the next step, which could be that mini type of offer, whatever that offer is. And then you can continue to build upon, and I'll call it a sales funnel, right? Is customer journey, whatever you want to call it. You can
Yeah.
continue to build upon that customer journey. There's other things that you can add to that portfolio when you get ready, like an order bump that's maybe $5 or $7, or you could do like
Mhm.
an upsell in there that might be taking them on that additional next step. Maybe it's an additional workshop that kind of ties into your first workshop. So there's a lot of different things that you could do there to continue to build out your portfolio and to increase that lifetime customer value.
What happens if someone decides on, okay, let's say an ebook or series of ebooks and then a mini course and it just doesn't work? Do they just scrap it and go back to the drawing board or try to figure out the elements that did work or where to go from there?
Yeah, I mean, that's the reality of something. Not everything is going to work
Yeah.
every single time. I mean, believe me, I have launched many things over the years that haven't worked. Amazon, Apple, they've all done it. We've all been there. So I don't want people to get discouraged by that. Basically, what that's telling me, okay, it's giving me information. I know, okay, I might need to make some tweaks there. Generally, I don't recommend throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Should I say that? Is that
Yeah.
that's the right terminology? I don't recommend throwing everything out, but I do think that there might be ways that you could go in and maybe you tweak those ebooks. Maybe those ebooks become a bonus in your mini course instead of, a standalone product to
Uh-huh.
really sweeten that deal there. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with your digital products to kind of repurpose them. And I definitely don't recommend kind of just throwing them out and say, okay, they're going to go into this digital graveyard that I'm never going to
Yeah.
use again. I would even look at some of the old lead magnets that you have had over the years. I think a lot of people just kind of, throw them to the wayside and never think about them again. There's probably a lot of good content in there that you can take and repurpose in a sales funnel like this or as part of a product or a mini course that you're putting together.
Do you have any recommendations for just kind of selling in general? Are there any guidelines to follow to make sure you are on the right track with actually selling what you create?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can sell these digital products, and I'm going to talk about some of the easier type ways right now. The main thing, or one of the kind of I always put a stake in the ground. I'm like, this is something I'm going to do every single week, no matter what, is sending out my weekly newsletter. And I teach in my newsletter profit club method. It's called the mini magazine format. So kind of setting up your newsletter in these like magazine type formats. And you can slide in different ways to monetize that newsletter. It could be, affiliates, it could be your digital products. And I always recommend you don't just like, okay, 30% off this product, go buy it. That just doesn't work. I mean, you got to like weave
Yeah.
in the storytelling and why they would need something like that. So there's definitely an art and a science to doing that. But at a minimum, continue to warm up your audience every single week with your weekly newsletter. And then in terms of other ways to sell these digital products, you could do like flash sales. That definitely works. I have memberships in my personal business, and I promote the membership, but I also sell the workshop separately. So you can definitely sell and promote these offers in many different ways in your business.
Okay. Yeah, that helps. What if we are confident in what we're selling? So we have ebooks that work, whatever it is, and we just realize that our funnels are all jumbled and not working. How do we order things to make sure that we have a proper funnel?
Yeah. So when you're kind of mapping out your funnels and looking at the customer journey, you got to really go back to the data. One of the first places I always look at if somebody's saying, well, my stuff's not converting, just go back to the beginning. What is your lead magnet converting at? So look at the registration page for your lead magnet. How many views, unique views did you get on it, and how many signups? A lot of times, that's one of the areas that we need to look at first. A lot of times they're just not getting enough people into that funnel. So that's going to be the number one thing to fix. But if they happen to be getting enough people in there and that lead magnet registration page is converting, really, in my mind, anything under 35% is just too low. There's probably some things that you could do there. Maybe it's tweaking the offer itself. Maybe it's looking at the headline. Maybe it's looking at the aesthetic of the landing page. But I would definitely recommend there. And then from there, you can start looking at other things in your funnel. I would look at the sales page. How many, after people sign up, how many views are coming to that kind of tripwire type page in that funnel. How many sales did you get from that? And then look at the cart checkout. So I use StrideCart, so you can kind of pull a lot of that data. People might be using different type of sales funnel systems, but you're going to have to go back and look at the actual data there to really figure out, okay, is this in line with industry standards, or do I need to, check on this? For example, let's say you have an order bump on that checkout page. So people have clicked, they're on your checkout page. You have an order bump there, but that order bump isn't selling. Generally, I would like to see around a 30% take rate around that order bump. And if you're not getting that, then maybe we need to look at the order bump, or maybe it's, looking at the image there. So there's different things you can do there.
So 30% take rate on order bumps. What did you say the standard conversion is for
the registration page? I
digital
mean,
products?
Standard is if you asked about industry standards, people would probably be fine with like 20 to 25. I like with my clients to at least get 35%. I mean, I think with the majority of the templates out there that we have, and the fact that we can use AI to kind of help us tweak the messaging and the headlines there, I can generally get those upwards of 50%. I have some of mine that are converting at 80% with a good amount of traffic coming in, like thousands of people. So I really think with all the resources that we have at our disposal today, we can really, make some huge progress there.
Yeah. Okay. And then as far as tech goes, I know there are a few different options and a few different ways to go. What do you recommend?
So there, like you said, there's so many of them out there. What
Yeah.
I always tell people is, from a tech perspective, we can make pretty much anything that you have work. So it's more about the marketing, looking at the customer journey, making sure all of that is smooth. From a tech system, we can make that work. I personally use lead pages for my landing page and my sales page. I use Thrivecart as my checkout kind of funnel there. So, and those work for me, but there's people out there using System.io or Samcart and different type of landing pages. And I've worked with them all and they're all fine.
And what are your thoughts on the platforms like Teachable, Kajabi, things like that for courses?
I think they all work. Podia, I've used
Okay.
them all, just so you know. Podia, Teachable, Thrivecart, Thrivecart Learn. I was Kajabi. I'm trying to think. There's a couple more I'm not even mentioning here, but they absolutely all of them work. So I don't want people to get hung up on the tech, because I know that a lot of times that kind of keeps us from moving forward. Is they want to make sure, okay, I want to make sure that this tech system is perfect. It really doesn't matter, honestly.
Okay.
Any of them are going to work just fine.
Yeah, that's good. That takes pressure off of our shoulders. They're so good. I mean, I feel like any platform you choose, like you said, is going to be fine.
Yes.
So don't get hung up on that part. What else do we need to know as far as selling, deciding what to sell? Maybe we could touch on launches too.
Yeah, so generally what I recommend, if you have like a signature type offer, so something that's a little bit pricier, it could, or a membership. Generally memberships would fall into this category also, generally. So a higher price course, maybe it's a group coaching program where you're bringing people in and demonstrating stuff. So something that's a little bit more pricey. We're not talking about a $47 mini course right now. We're talking about something that might be $500 or $1,000, or something that's has that recurring revenue element in it. For the most part, something like that, you might have to do what we call a launch, on a regular basis. Maybe it's like once a quarter. That's generally how I have my system set up, is I do a live type workshop or training or webinar, whatever you want to call it. I do one of those once a quarter. And then in between, I have these evergreen type funnels running in the background. Um, Generally, having that live webinar, it allows you to have an easier time to sell your higher priced offer, because you're there live with people. They see you. People want to buy from other people. They want to ask questions. They want to know that you're going to be there to support them. And I would say that that's probably one of the biggest changes that we have seen in the online course world, really in the past year and a half. I actually changed my whole business model about a year or so ago, because I kind of saw the writing on the wall with AI. And I moved to these membership models where I'm doing these live workshops on a monthly basis for the paid members. And because I knew that people wanted, they wanted that hands-on type of experience, I should say, with me. Now, I'm not going to say that's across the board. In our Hobby School Craft and Create Club, we do have workshops, a membership there with a workshop that we launch every single month. It's a recorded one. We pay people to come and do that. So there's some nuances there, but I do think that these live launches do help kind of build that trust, and I think that's needed.
I feel like those were really popular like 10 years ago, and then they kind of went to the wayside a little bit. But now I think you're right. They're coming back because people crave that humanity, right?
Yeah, I mean, they want help. And that's what was happening with a lot of these courses is people were buying them and not finishing them. I mean, I have
Yeah.
5 that I'm like, okay, I need to get to those right now. I really do. Like, that has valuable information in them, but I'm having a hard time getting to them because we all get busy. But they do want to be able to see you, ask you questions. They want more personalized treatment there.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Things are regressing a little bit, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Not, yeah, it's fun to watch that. Okay, what else do we need to know? So, keeping food bloggers in mind, especially coming up on Q4, digital products are top of mind. Is there any additional inspiration or information you can provide?
I mean, I would just kind of going back to what we said earlier is thinking about how can you serve your audience? You know, what would they love to get from you that AI cannot replicate or other people out there can't replicate? And I think for a lot of us, it does come back down to kind of being there either live or them be able to see you via like a video recorded workshop. I mean, I think those are not going away, even with everything out there in the marketplace. So I would kind of look at your business and see, you know, how can I do more of that? And I know that people are going to be able would definitely want to pay for that type of level of expertise.
So, incorporating more you into your business instead of just my product.
There you go. More you, because
Ah,
people will buy from people, and they're going to want that from you. Yeah.
I've noticed a trend which I think people are liking, and it aligns with exactly
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying, which is maybe people get on your email list or they have shown some sort of interest in purchasing from you, sending them to a welcome page with a video of you talking just a little bit about who you are and who your business, what your business is and what you do and what you're passionate about. Nothing long, but just a minute or two just to kind of let people get to know you. What do you think of
I mean, I
those?
love that. And if you don't have a tripwire type product set up in your business right now, that's something that's perfect for that thank you page. Now, if you have a tripwire offer that you want to get money from, by all means, you know, start getting, you know, that
Yeah.
instant customer, if you would. But anything that you can do to kind of showcase your expertise, why you're different, why they should follow you, because there's a let's face it, there's a lot of people out there that do what I do, and there's a lot of people out there that do what we all do. So, you know, letting them
Yeah.
get to know you, your personality, and how you teach, and how they can learn from you. Like I said, you can't replicate it.
Yeah. Is there anything else we need to know before we start saying goodbye, Destiny?
I don't know. I mean, you know, going back to my non negotiables is, you know, that newsletter is so important, you know, sending it out every week, being consistent with that. You have to do that. And just like kind of looking at, you know, your overall business model, you know, what do you want to add in terms of revenue streams? I think there's a lot of things that we could add. So really kind of honing in on where you think would be most profitable for you. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of digital products. I've built, you know, several businesses doing this. In hobby school, we, you know, have a multi 6-figure business, and we're only selling these very, very low cost digital products. So it can be done, and there's opportunities out there in digital products.
Thank you. I think going into Q4, this will be very inspiring for people because you're right. There's a lot of opportunity if we just take a step back and look at what our passions are and what our people are wanting. So, thank you for all of the inspiration
No,
today.
thanks for having me.
Do you have either a favorite quote or words of inspiration to leave us with?
I actually do. When I was thinking about this, I ran across something on Substack the other day, and I thought this was brilliant because it said, "The magic is in the edit." The magic is in the edit. And I started thinking about, okay, this is brilliant because one of the things that I've started doing is on Tuesdays, is actually something I'm working on today because we're recording this on Tuesday, is I write my newsletters for all of the different memberships and the businesses that I have. I write them on Tuesday. And I started doing it on Tuesday because that kind of gave me all week. If anything kind of popped in my mind, I'm like, oh, I need to go add that to it, or I could tweak that to make it a little better. It's just given me the opportunity to, 1x, make it 1% better, I should say, because my newsletters go
Yeah.
out on Sunday. So doing it on Tuesday kind of gives me, the entire week to tweak it if anything kind of pops in my mind. So I thought that was cool. The magic is in the
Yeah.
edit.
Oh, I love that. That's so great and inspiring too. We will put together a show notes page for you, Destini. If anyone wants to go peek at those, you can head to eatblogtalk.com/Destini Copp, and your name is spelled Destini, and that's COPP.
That's correct.
Tell everyone where they can find you. Do you have any offerings for food bloggers that might be beneficial when they're creating digital products?
Yeah, definitely jump on my Creators NBA newsletter. You can go to my website. The link for that is in the, right on the main page of the website. I also have a Creators NBA podcast where I kind of go into everything all about digital products, selling digital products, creating digital products. So there's a lot of great information there. And if you're interested in monetizing your newsletter, you can go to destinicop.com/calculator, and I have a newsletter profit kit there too, which also has a custom GPT, which will help you figure out how to monetize in different ways you can monetize your newsletter.
Amazing. Everyone go check that out. Thank you again, Destini, so much for joining us. And thank you for listening, food bloggers. I will see you next time.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you so much for listening to eBlog Talk. The best way to support this show is to share it with another blogger or friend who could use encouragement today. Let's share the love. I will see you in the next episode.